This is part 1. I'm going to be answering questions from question 1 all the way to question 3. This is for the May 2024 Biology Paper 1B. Okay, so the first question shows us, the diagram shows a part of a food web from an oak woodland. We have our producer, which is the oak tree, over here. And then we have our primary consumer, which is the caterpillar. And then we also have the mouse, which is considered the primary consumer and secondary consumer. So which is the producer in this food web? Remember that food chains always start with a producer, which is the oak tree. Producers produce their food using energy from the sun. Sometimes you might hear the term autotrophs, which means making your own food. So trees would be considered photoautotrophs because they use the light energy to make their own food. Producers are eaten by primary consumers. The deer is considered a primary consumer. The squirrel is considered a primary consumer. The mouse is considered both primary and secondary when taking part the caterpillar's role. So which is the producer in this food web? It is going to be our oak tree. Draw a food chain from this web that includes the mouse and contains 4 trophic levels. So we have our oak tree, and then our caterpillar, and then our mouse, and then from the mouse, the tick. So oak tree is the producer, caterpillar is our primary consumer, the mouse in this case is our secondary consumer, and then the tick is our tertiary consumer. Okay, so which of these organisms is in 2 different trophic levels in this food web? Remember, it was the mouse. Next, a tick is a small spider-like organism that bites and then takes in blood from the mammals as it feeds. This is a magnified image of a tick. Okay, so the actual length of the tick as shown by line AB is 3.5 millimeters. Calculate the magnification of the image of the tick. Okay, so the tick's actual size is 3.5 millimeters, and then so this is its actual size in real life. However, this over here is our drawing. So we need to measure our drawing, which is from point A to point B. Using your ruler, you are going to get approximately 10.4 centimeters. You have to convert that to millimeters, so times 10, which gives you 104 millimeters. Now to calculate magnification, it's the image size over the actual image. So our image size in this case is going to be 104 millimeters over our actual image, which is 3.5, so the true size of the insect. So let's divide that now. 104 divided by 3.5, which gives us 29 magnification. So magnification is going to be times 29. Okay, the next question now is going to be asking us about the blood, but through the tick. Okay, so note that this question already mentions blood, therefore it won't make sense to write just blood as your answer. Okay, so the tick absorbs substances from the mammal's blood, it has taken in. Give the function of 2 named substances absorbed by the tick. So first of all, blood contains iron, which is used to make hemoglobin. This over here will get you 2 marks. So that's 1, and that's 2. You must know that also hemoglobin allows the red blood cells to bind to oxygen. The substance number 2 is that blood contains amino acids, and amino acids are needed for protein synthesis. Okay, ticks can pass diseases between organisms. Suggest how ticks can pass diseases from one organism to another. A very famous example of this is Lyme disease. So a tick will absorb blood from an infected animal, the pathogen infects the tick. The tick will either be eaten or will bite an uninfected animal. The blood carrying the pathogen is now transferred into the infected animal. Okay, the next question is the diagram shows a flower with some structures labeled. Over here we have the female part, which is from the carpel. We have the stigma, which is P, Q, which is the style, R is the petal, S is the ovary, and then on our male side, which is the stamen, it's composed of the anther and the filament. The stigma is where the pollen grain sticks. It is usually sticky and has a sweet smell to attract pollinators. The style supports the stigma and is where the pollen tube grows. The ovary contains the female gametes which are inside the ovules. The anther produces pollen grains and the filaments support the anther. So, which structure is the style? Okay, as we said, the style is Q, so it's over here, so it's Q. Which structure releases pollen? Pollen is released from the anther, which is over here. So this is U. So that's D. On which structure do pollen grains germinate? So pollen grains germinate on our on our stigma. So the stigma is P. Okay, this flower is insect pollinated. Describe how structures P, R, and T would be different in a wind pollinated flower. Over here, I brought up a picture of a wind pollinated flower. Notice how it is less colorful, and notice how the stigma is very feathery. So the first thing, the stigma would be feathery and fluffy, giving it a larger surface area. The petal would be small and not colored. It does not care if bees are attracted to it. The filament would be longer. Now, flowering plants can reproduce asexually. Give an example of a natural method of asexual reproduction in plants. So, strawberries produce runners. You can also write down bulbs, which is used by tulips. Okay, next question. Give an example of an artificial method of asexual reproduction in plants. Well, we can take cuttings, where you cut a plant, you put it in water, and then you will get roots, the plant grows, you cut it again, and you will just keep multiplying. Now, give 3 differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. Number 1 is that no gametes are produced in asexual reproduction. Number 2, fertilization is present in sexual reproduction. Number 3, offspring produced by asexual reproduction has no genetic variation, meaning they are all genetically similar. Now, a farmer has 2 varieties of a plant species. One variety has a red flower color and no scent. The other variety has a white flower color and a perfumed scent. He wants to combine these 2 together. The farmer wants to produce a variety that has the red flower color and the perfumed scent. Explain how the farmer could achieve this. Well, this is achieved by the process of selective breeding. The farmer must crossbreed the most vibrant red flower with the most perfumed white flower. The farmer then must select from the offspring the flowers that are red and scented and breed them again. This is repeated for many generations. Number 3. The passage describes the process used to produce yogurt. Complete the passage by writing a suitable word or words in each blank space. So, yogurt is made by heating milk to a high temperature. This process is known as pasteurization. This ensures that bacteria present in the liquid are killed. The liquid is then cooled between 40 degrees Celsius and 46 degrees Celsius. The type of bacteria called Lactobacillus is then added. And you have to memorize this word because this is one of the words that you must know. These bacteria use a sugar called lactose for anaerobic respiration. The pH of the yogurt decreases because this respiration produces a substance called lactic acid. You can also say lactate. Thank you so much for listening for part 1, and I will upload part 2 shortly.